Welcome to the Munchkin Minute, your bi-weekly look into some tabletop gaming news and more. I'm your host, Dan, the Board Game Man, and this is your news for late August 2024. A little bit lighter news, and also kind of a lighter kind of crowdfunding these days, but we'll see. Maybe get more news out of this and more time out of this. I always seem like I've got nothing, and the next thing you know, 15 minutes later, we got all sorts of stuff. But anyway, let's get into some news. First up, Devir Games, who's been really knocking it out of the park the last couple of years. Devir Games is going to release Daitoshi. This is a new board game by Dani Garcia. This is going to be kind of a worker placement type game. This is going to be into retail this year, about October. It should be about $60. Now, Dani Garcia has been absolutely knocking it out of the park with kind of heavier weight euros and kind of actually maybe some mid to heavier, but some midweight. Because you've got Arborea, Barcelona, Windmill Valley, and a whole bunch others that are coming out by Dani Garcia. But just really good designer. This one is going to be about 2 hours. So another kind of, they said that they announced that it's going to probably be a weight of about 3.5, which is going to make it another like kind of a medium to heavier weight euro. 1 to 4 players, plays in a couple hours. Now, what it looks like, you got kind of as you're using, it says the power of Steam, and now you're either kind of producing or putting your worker out onto the board, and then of course getting resources, and then it looks like you're kind of helping to develop the board with other spots. A really cool, interesting way of doing worker placement, but will be that nice heavier weight, which I absolutely love. So that one, again, will be out this year in October, and probably about $60, which is kind of normal. Devir is really good at these kind of the smaller boxes, but having a lot of cool stuff in those boxes, and really stuff it full of gameplay. Let's go back to hotness from Gen Con. This was from Arcane Wonders. They're going to release Video Game Champion. That'll be out this November. Should be about $60, I believe it is. This is going to be kind of a light to medium set collection, kind of card or tile game. This is going to be set in the 90s era of that 16-bit console game explosion. You're going to be kind of quote-unquote playing, renting, and kind of beating games in order to get points for your end game scoring. So it's got a pretty cool, the look of it is great, kind of not quite 16-bit, but it has kind of the different cartridges on some of these cars, and the way that they kind of produce the games and such. They're kind of parodies of old games, and you could tell exactly what games that they were. I mean, you've got your Madden parody, your Castlevania parody, all these different ways of kind of bringing those old games that you knew. So now as you're kind of playing, you're going to be getting these kind of chits that have different numbers and colors and such, and you're going to be using these different ways to these different chits and such, and to play different games or rent the games, and getting other kind of crystals that'll be on there if you're getting kind of the newer games under your belt, which is going to help you to unlock other advantages and such. So pretty cool. It's going to have that really cool feel of the old video game style, but I do like what Arcane Wonders has been putting out lately, and this one has that kind of really cool feel to it. Probably about an hour and a half, that kind of light to medium weight feel, so a little bit heavier than normal kind of your like Scout or such card games, where they're just not necessarily just card games. There's a little bit more to it than that, but it looks really cool. That is Video Game Champion. Next up, stick with Asmodee. Not sticking with, moving to Asmodee. There'll be a lot of Asmodees coming up, but this one is Asmodee is going to be releasing Fairy Ring. This is a game. This one was originally from Repos Productions. This is going to be out this September, next month, but it should be about $35. A lot of these games that are coming up today are a little bit lighter in price, which is actually pretty cool. This is a cool kind of card game. This is about developing or building your fantasy village. Now, this one is about an hour, kind of your nice filler, family weight filler time-wise, and 2 to 4 players. And again, this is designed by Laurence Grenier and Fabien Tanguay. And now this is, again, like I said, a game about developing or building your fantasy village. Now, it's a cool theme. So what you're doing is you're going to be drafting cards to play them into your kind of fairy village. And then and they're basically like mushrooms and such. So depending on the number on the card that you end up playing from that you draft from the cards, your fairy is going to be moving around the board to other people's villages, or again, back to yours. And then depending on where they land, you're going to be getting mana. And then also, depending on if you have colors matching the color of where it lands, like other people's villages, you're going to be getting mana and scoring different points. And then your cards that you just drafted from will go to the next person. So has that Seven Wonders drafting type style, but not like, that's going to be a couple of rounds of that going around the table. So very, very lightweight, family game. I think it's going to be a decent hit this year because it's got great art, ease of play, and I mean, I love to say it, everybody loves drafting, and it's so easy to teach. So very, very cool because you can play a game like this, just draft something, play it, see what happens, and then you learn the game. So this is going to be a pretty cool one for that nice family weight. Again, that'll be Fairy Ring. That'll be out in September. So let's switch gears a little bit. This is going to be a couple of reprints. The first one, this is not the first time this first one is going to be reprinted. This might even be the third or fourth time that I've seen it reprint. It's crazy. But anyway, Asmodee is going to be releasing a new edition of Finca. Now, Finca is an amazing game of of collecting fruit. You're using a rondell in this one. This will be out next month again at about $30, which is a really good price for this game. Because there's a lot of stuff in this box, and kind of the way the chits are and the bits and stuff. But I guess that's maybe a little cheaper than I would think, but a good price for it. Anyway, I think they're doing this one with Pandasaurus Games. This has been one of my favorite games for a long time. It's been on Yucata forever, and I think now it just released on BGA, so you can get a chance to play it out on there as well with people. I did get the version, this one, right before. I think it was the first time they reprinted this, where it came back out of kind of nowhere. One of these games that was clamoring for a reprint, and I think it was right before COVID. I think I got it around 18 or 19 after that Kickstarter is when it finally came in. Anyway, in the game, you're going to be moving your piece or your marker around a rondell. What a rondell is basically spaces in a circle pattern, and you're kind of have different spaces you're going to be moving into. So on this particular rondell, it's randomly made up of kind of different fruit and such before the game, which is cool because it kind of gives you a different feel each time you play. Depending on where you start and where how many you're going to go, where you start and then where you land, how many pieces where you land, you get a certain amount of that fruit where you do land. Now you're going to be getting those fruit tiles or fruit chits, little wooden pieces of fruit. Anyway, then you're going to be turning those in on the board because there's different tiles that'll be on the board that'll tell you different number of the different types of fruit, depending on which fruit you want, sometimes a combination. And it's going to be from 1 to 6 of the different things that you're turning in. And then you're going to be getting those chits. Now, once a stack of chits is gone, each one of the areas is going to have a certain thing that's going to be for scoring, and then you're going to put your Finca on there, and depending on who has majority of there, that's going to get more points. You're going to get more points there. There's other kind of little set collection of things on there. Anyway, very, very easy to learn. I probably didn't do it justice, but it's very easy to learn and an amazing game. Great, easy to play. Again, another one of these kind of family weight, cool strategy games, but very family weight to learn. But there's still good strategy involved in there, so veteran gamers love it as well. But it is a huge hit to me for novices as well. So really, really good. So the next, we'll call this one a quote-unquote reprint, is also from Asmodee, this time with Zygomatic Games. So Asmodee and Zygomatic are going to be releasing Survive the Island. This is an update to the 30-plus-year-old Survive Escape from Atlantis. This one will be out next month, and $30. Again, another really good price. Although this is kind of one never really was all that expensive unless you got like those anniversary edition or the pimped out edition that they kind of put out a while. Doesn't look like much has changed in this one. So if you have the older versions, the older Stronghold versions of Survive Escape from Atlantis, maybe just some new, you may not need to get it. So it's maybe some new spiffy art, some new pieces. I think they expand how many chits that you're using in different versions of the game, but it looks to be about the same game. But it is, again, another one of these that over the course of the 30 years, man, this is a really good game. It's a fan favorite, and it's perfect, again, for family game night. So in Survive the Island, so the island is basically sinking in this game, and you have a certain amount of meeples that are out on the board. Now they're going to have numbers on the bottom of them ranging from, I believe it was 1 to 6 or 1 to 5, depending on the version. And as the island is sinking, you're moving them, trying to get them or get them to swim or get on boats, trying to get them to the safe islands on the outside of the board. And then you're going to get the amount of points that are on the bottom of the meeples. So there's different things like sea serpents, sharks, even I think there's an octopus in there that you're going to get in your way and kill your people. And then there's also things like dolphins and boats that are going to help your people. Obviously, boats go faster than just swimming. So as you're playing, and other people are trying to sabotage you, obviously, you're going to be playing, you're going to be randomly selecting tiles in color order. Like, so you have to go through, you're going to be, depending on your turn, at the end of your turn, to be selecting like either the sand tiles or the kind of the forest or green tiles and the mountain tiles later in the game as the island's sinking more. And sometimes on the bottom of these tiles, you're going to get powers. Sometimes there's going to be things that'll help you move. There's going to be things that are making you move the sharks and other things. And either sometimes like the volcano or the whirlpools. And after a certain amount of volcano tiles turn over, that's when the game just sinks and ends. But again, you're going to be, and also rolling a die to see which one of the bad things or good things move at the end of your turn. So this is a great classic game. I'm not sure how Stronghold or any board and cards lost a license. I know a ton of things have changed since Bonacor left. Since he retired and left there, they just haven't been the same since then. They put out a couple of games, but not really doing as much anymore. So Stronghold, interesting to see that they haven't really done a whole lot. Anyway, not sure how they lost the license or how that license went over there, but this is a great classic game by Julian Cortland Smith, just one I love. So if you have one of the older copies, you may not want to check this one out, but if you're just looking to add this to your collection or looking for a pretty cool, fun, light game to play with your family, this would be a great one to check out next month when it does come out. So Atomic Mass Games, this will be the last one today for us. Atomic Mass Games is going to announce another squad pack for Star Wars Shatterpoint. They put out a lot of cool squad packs for Shatterpoint. This one is Good Soldiers Follow Orders. This one will be out in October, and $50 as they normally are with these squad packs. This is the villain pack from Bad Batch. So I believe they announced Bad Batch a few months ago. I can't remember if it was released already. I think it was released this summer. But anyway, after Bad Batch was released, they've got now the villains from Bad Batch. So you've got Crosshair, ES-04, and some elite squad troopers will be in this squad pack. So let's head on over to some crowdfunding. First up, we've got Kickstarter. We got a few from Kickstarter, and then we actually have a backer kit today. So let's go to Kickstarter. We got Tir Nanog reprint, the expansions, and more. Now I've kind of mentioned Tir Nanog. I think it was one of the biggest hotnesses from Gen Con. An amazing, cool card game, kind of almost like a story. It develops as you're playing the cards, and depending on where you're putting the different cards in the tableau, you're scoring different points. An amazing game. It's got about 2.5 weeks to go, but you're adding some, it's got an expansion in there that you can get as well. But a great quality to this game. I absolutely love this one. You can get in on this one for about $19 for the Blessings and Journey. That's the copy from the Blessings and Burdens modular expansion, and one copy of the Journey to Tir Nanog. Those are smaller expansions if you already have the game. You can get the deluxe edition for about $39, and then you can get the deluxe with the expansion for $49. So this is kind of a can't miss to me, because it's got some really cool stuff in there. They've got the escape room game, and they've got the expansion for the regular game. And Tir Nanog is such a great game. This will be on, I say this a lot, but I think maybe it's just because I cover games that I really like or I think will be good. But this is going to be another one that's going to be on a lot of games, a game of the year list that you'll see. So this is well funded, about a little less than 2 weeks to go, and that's Tir Nanog reprint and expansion. So next up, not really my cup of tea, because I don't play as many role-playing games, but I know that this company does a lot of great work, and Brandon Sanderson is so popular. So this one is Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere RPG. So this is you're starting with the Stormlight Archive and expanding into Mistborn. This is the original tabletop RPG to grow and support the whole Cosmere. This one is being put out by Brotherwise Games, and there's almost no company out there right now that I can't believe how great they've been doing over the years. I mean, I love a lot of the small companies that just become juggernauts, and that's what Brotherwise is, but they're keeping that really cool kind of smaller feel to them, but because they just have such great customer service and just such great people over there, Brotherwise. So anyway, this is the role-playing game. You can get in this, the Cosmere role-playing game. You get on this for a lot of different ways, between just a couple of different books for if you're just the reader, the player, the game master. If you're the game master, looking for everything, about $295, and then a collector, if you want every accessory and everything that goes along with it, $385. And then of course there's a retailer pledge to get in on that one. This is obviously well funded, and you probably, if you're already an RPG person, you probably heard about this one because it's made $10 million. That's unbelievable, ridiculous, and no better people. Like I said, I absolutely love Brotherwise Games, so good for them on this one. It's only got a few days to go, so as soon as you hear this, you may want to go over there if you want to back it, but they always have late pledges, so I'm sure you'll be able to get in on that one as well. Finally, from the Kickstarter points, this is Rival Restaurants Sporks Out. So Rival Restaurants came out a few years ago. A cool little, kind of a lighter, I guess it's a lighter board game. I'm going to call it, it's a kind of a worker placement board game with some set collection. And it has some real-time isms to it. I haven't played it, but it's always interesting to see people that do kind of, how they work in real time, because it's very, very hard to do correctly or enjoyably. But anyway, Rival Restaurants, I've heard a lot of people say it's a decent game. This has got some expansion to it as well, and you can get it on a base game as well. And they've got the new expansion to it. So you can get on this one. This is from Gap Closure Games. You can get on this one for about $25 just for the expansion. You can get the Sporks Out and Back for Seconds expansion, which was the one before this one, for $50. You can get the base game for $59, and then you've got deluxe and all the other different versions and ways that you can get on there with the whole bundle stuff. This has got about a week and a half to go. Again, well funded. Again, this is pretty cool. I like the art and I like the gameplay. I don't know how I haven't gotten a chance to play this one, but it is one I definitely want to play because I do love the idea of kind of making a restaurant and, you know, kind of messing with other people's restaurants, getting your ingredients and doing it all kind of in real time. And again, I like the idea I've always liked the idea of kind of using sand timer in real time, but real time, depending on your play group, is always a hard thing to get done right. So anyway, check that one out, Rival Restaurants. And finally, there's not too much to this game, but I mean, as far as to say about this game, because this is on Backer Kit, this is One Deck Dungeon, Relics of the Forge. Now, the reason why I say there's not a whole lot to say about this, because One Deck Dungeon is a solid game. This is just another kind of standalone expansion, kind of updating with some new ways to play and some new mechanisms to it. But One Deck Dungeon is always a fun game. I love playing it solo. I think there's an app to it. There's also on Steam. I do have the app. Really fun game. It's got about a month to go. It is well funded, but definitely check this one out. One Deck Dungeon, Relics of the Forge. There's a bunch of different pledge levels where you can just get the regular game for $25, the deluxe version for $45. Then they've got kind of the Vault, which has got all sorts of different stuff. You can get that for $80, and then the deluxe version of the Vault for $130. But I really like, it's a game I really dig, One Deck Dungeon, because I love kind of using dice and kind of rolling dice and, you know, kind of going through the dungeon. You're kind of leveling up, getting different things, and as you're playing, just really fun as your kind of characters leveling up. And there's other characters you can use in the game, which give you different player powers. Just really fun, chill little game. You know, very cool dice rolling solo game to play. You know, again, One Deck Dungeon, just fun. Anyway, thanks for joining me today. If you see any news you think I'd like to feature, definitely shoot me a message at GeekJockDan on Twitter, and of course on Major Spoilers Discord, where I love to hang out and chat all about different board games. Also, please check out MajorSpoilers.com for more content by Steven and the rest of the Major Spoilers crew, and check out my show, The Geek All Stars Podcast. As always, I'm Dan, the Board Game Man, and I'll see everyone in a couple of weeks for another Munchkin Minute.
This podcast is copyright 2024 by Major Spoilers Entertainment, LLC.